I'm sure this image needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce it anyway. It's the iconic Windows XP background. Bliss, they call it, and you can see why. The rolling green hills, the vibrant blue sky, truly a beautiful image. I'm going to show you something pretty cool with this image. It's in black and white now. Cool, huh? No, not really. Yeah, it is pretty dull without the colour. So here's what I actually want to show you. A little trick that makes you see this black and white image in full colour. Hi, my name's Elliot. I'm 4 years into my degree to become an engineer and scientist, and today, I'm going to show you my favourite optical illusion. Now, I do have to preface this with the fact that to get the actual effect of the illusion, I'm going to need your undivided attention for like 30 seconds for it to work, which I know is a lot to ask with the hustle and bustle of modern life, but I promise it is worth it. And don't worry, this isn't one of those magic tricks where the secret is you just have to believe, or tell me the 3 funny digits on the back of your credit card. No, there's actually some wacky science going on. So here's the actual illusion. Don't worry too much about what's on screen currently. All I want you to do is focus on the red dot in the center. Keep your eyes on it, don't move your head around. If you're watching this on a phone, try and keep the phone still, you just have to stare at this dot for a little bit. I'm sure you're thinking, wow Elliot, this is really engaging content. But listen, this is hard for me too. I have to go this whole time without making any jokes, because if I make you laugh too hard, you'll lose focus on the dot. In a few seconds, the background image is going to change, but the dot will remain there, and you just have to keep staring at it. Don't look away from the dot, but you should be able to see in your peripheral vision, Bliss, in full colour. The rolling green hills, the blue sky, maybe a little desaturated, but still in colour. Now, if you actually do look around the image, you'll see other than the red dot, it's entirely black and white. I promise there was no movie magic, I didn't just change the image. It was black and white the whole time you saw colour. If you don't believe me, rewind the video and have a look yourself. So, how did I do that? Well, in truth, I didn't do much. It was your own brain that tricked you. To explain how, I'm going to need to tell you a little bit about how we perceive colour. Our eyes have millions of little sensors in them called rods and cones, and these are what we use to actually see. We have far more rods than cones, but the rods are only able to determine the intensity of light. They can't differentiate between colour. These are what you use to see when it's dark, and why when it is you can make out shapes, but the world is pretty black and white. The cones, on the other hand, are what let us perceive colour, and they come in 3 different types. They're called short, medium, and long, but you can basically think of them as blue, green, and red sensors. They each send signals to the brain depending on what colours of light they're receiving. For instance, when your eyes take in blue light, it excites the blue cones a lot, and the red and green ones don't really care. Your brain knows that when your blue cones are sending a strong signal and red and green aren't, you're seeing the colour blue. But the cones aren't just looking for one specific colour. They actually each cover a small range of colours, and there's even some overlap between them. If we look at what happens when you see the colour yellow, your green cones and red cones both get fairly excited, and blue not at all. Your brain processes this and knows you're seeing the colour yellow. But this system is not foolproof. If you have red and green light coming into your eye from the same spot, it will excite your red and green cones, so your brain would see it and process it as yellow. It might seem like a small distinction to make, but your brain cannot distinguish between actual yellow light and a mixture of red and green light. Why does this matter? Well, all colours we can see are just made from red, green, and blue. We call this additive colour because they're being added together, with white being the result of all 3. You've probably seen gaming keyboards and computers that often have the word RGB on them, and the reason why is because the only coloured lights they have are red, green, and blue. They have so many tiny little lights that by choosing varying intensities of each of those 3 colours, they can produce any colour. You want a purple keyboard? Just turn up the red and blue lights and turn down green. But this isn't just for gamer computers, this is also how monitors on all computers and TVs and phones produce images. The screen you're watching this on right now is made up of hundreds of thousands or millions of pixels, each one being a combination of red, green, and blue light at varying intensities to make any colour. Now, it's a bit of a tangent, but have you ever left a movie theatre and outside the sunlight feels like the brightest thing in the universe? This is because you've just spent a few hours in a dark room, and your rods have adjusted to it. They're trying to absorb as much light as they can, so when you go outside, it's really bright for a few seconds as they readjust. Well, your cones work in a fairly similar way if you spend a while staring at something. The image I originally made you look at is just bliss but with inverted colours. When I made you stare at it, your cones adjusted to it. The sky, for instance, is an orangey-yellow colour, so your screen was outputting a mixture of red and green light there, and your red and green cones were working hard. But after a while, they got kind of used to it, so when the screen switches to a black and white image, the sky is white, which as we now know is maximum brightness on red, green, and blue lights. Your red and green cones didn't notice any difference, but suddenly your blue cones fired up. This sudden increase in blue activity made your brain go, oh, I must be seeing blue, even though it was just white. That happened for all the different colours in the image, and pretty much that's just how your brain managed to trick you into thinking a black and white image was in colour. So why did I choose to use the photo of Bliss to show this off? Well, it's one of the most viewed images ever, and probably the most, on a digital screen, which felt quite fitting. That's all for this video, but if you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to let me know that you want to see more.